Starting here, we can see how the Clancy's house looked in 2022 when the crime occurred. The address was 47 Summer Street, Duxbury, Massachusetts, and this is the home of Patrick and Lindsey Clancy. In this picture here, you can see how the house looked in 2022. We can also see how Patrick parked his truck next to Lindsey's car that night after returning from the 3V restaurant. When he pulled into his driveway, he's unaware that Lindsey has strangled their 3 kids in the basement and now lies in the backyard after jumping out of her bedroom window. You can see here in this illustration how she would have been laying. You can also see the gate at this end of the house, where later paramedics will come through to help Lindsey. After parking his truck, Patrick enters the kitchen through the front door next to the garage. When he enters, he testifies he knows that the house was very quiet, which is unusual. He continues and sets the food and medicine from CVS on the kitchen island. Here's an evidence photo of this. Here's another picture from a different angle. Continuing after taking off his boots, he begins to call out to anyone in the house, but no one answers. He then goes to the basement door to check if they're downstairs, and calls out. But again, no one answers. Here's an evidence photo of the basement stairs. Patrick continues on and goes upstairs to the second floor. When he gets there, he can see no one's in the bathroom, and so he checks the 2 kids' room. But no one is there. He turns to go to the master bedroom. He tries the door, but it's locked, and for the first time he feels like something is seriously wrong. After getting the key from one of the kids' room, he unlocks the door and goes in. After taking 1 or 2 steps into the room, he can see blood on the floor everywhere. He also notices the bed pushed away from the wall and that the window is open. Here's some evidence photos of the room that night. Realizing the severity of the situation, Patrick quickly goes downstairs to the backyard. He cuts through the kitchen to go to the back sliding door. When he gets outside, he starts looking over towards the bedroom window and sees Lindsey laying on the ground and rushes over to her. In court, Patrick will tell what happens next.
Did you say anything to Lindsey when you found her in that state?
Yeah, I said, "What happened?"
And what was her response?
She said, "I tried to kill myself."
Did you ask her anything else?
I said, "Where are the kids?"
And what was her response?
She said, "They're in the basement."
It's likely when Lindsey said that the kids were in the basement, Patrick thought that they were fine, and that she may have put them in the basement so they wouldn't see her suicide, which would explain why he stayed with her while he called 911 and waited for the first responders to arrive. Patrick placed the 911 call at 6:11 p.m., and it took 3 to 4 minutes for responders to arrive. When they get there, he calls for them to come around the house to the side gate. After a brief interaction, he quickly runs to the basement to check on the kids. He makes his way back to the patio door and goes to the kitchen to the basement. When getting to the bottom of the stairs, he goes left to the basement living room. After just a few steps into the room, he sees Cora and Colin laying on the floor, face down with exercise bands tied around their necks. To see how the basement was laid out, we're going to look from the front of the house and see through to the basement. After untying the ligature on Cora and Colin's neck, he started to look for his other child, Dawson. So he quickly rushes over to his office area on the other side of the basement. There he sees Dawson laying face down, also strangled with an exercise band. Patrick begins screaming. The EMT outside who is working on Lindsey hears the screams and notices the scene through the basement window. Immediately, many responders begin running into the basement to help the children. Here are some evidence photos of the basement. There is a 911 audio recording of this moment when Patrick discovers his kids in the basement. It was played in court, but was not released to the public, but by all accounts it is horrifying to hear. In this last illustration, we are going to show how Lindsey fell out of the bedroom window. We will start with some evidence photos of the back of the house. In this photo, you can see the top right-hand window, which is Lindsey's bedroom. The area circled is where there is blood on the shingles of the side of the house. Here's that area blown up. Notice these 4 yellow circles. This indicates where blood was transferred to the side of the shingles, and we get this information from the court documents. Back to this image. Notice how the blood transfer stains on the siding run vertically up to the handprints on the windowsill. This and the fact that Lindsey had a Jefferson fracture of her C1 vertebrae helps us know how she jumped out of the window, and here's that illustration. Let's play that one more time and stop it at key points. As she jumps, you can see how her hand transfers bloodstains to the house as she falls to the ground.